Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Zachary Dickinson here. Hope you all have had a wonderful week so far, as it being Tuesday, as whenever this video will come out. Hope you all enjoyed the wonderful How to Watch Star Wars watching guide from yesterday. Hope you all watch it and comment below something about it. Today, this is going to be a short little intro, just saying, hey, this is the MCU Multiverse Saga Phase 5 combined video. We're going to be putting all the shows and movies of Phase 5 in the order of release or chronological, whichever I did for Phase 4. So, let's get on into it. It's mostly just copy and paste from two previous videos, but combining them, so won't be too much new, just this intro and whatever I say at the end real quick. See you all. Hope you all have fun with it. Right, next up we have not as great as Loki and What If season 2s of each, but a still good and overall okay show. We have Echo, which released in early 2024, right after What If season 2 premiered in late 2023. And so we have Echo, 6 episodes released all at once, a good and wonderful blast. Wasn't as good as some of the best, but is definitely not the worst. Um, if you're looking for the essentials to watch of the MCU, Echo is probably not on that list very much. If you are looking and a big Daredevil fan, you might need to watch parts of Echo in order to understand how Kingpin is not blind if you watched Hawkeye. If you didn't watch Hawkeye, you don't need to watch Echo in order to watch Daredevil Born Again. Now, what is that to say? Echo is good. It's okay. It's not an essential MCU project to watch, but if you're a perfectionist and want to watch the entirety, it's a good and wonderful watch. It's not as bad as some of the worst, though. Right, so the first film of Phase 5 came out in February of 2023, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This was Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Hank Pym and his wife going into the quantum realm as they inevitably go up against the ruler of most of the quantum realm in Kang the Conqueror. We also had the villain from Ant-Man 1, the first Ant-Man in the Ant-Man movies, which was Yellow Jacket, is now MODOK. To say the least, I enjoyed this movie when it came out. However, narratively speaking, and in the grand scheme of the MCU, Ant-Man beating an Avengers level threat in King the Conqueror doesn't make sense at all. Literally makes no sense at all. Also, it makes more sense that Kang wasn't the full-time villain of the whole Multiverse saga, but at the time he was. So there's a little bit of leeway there. But overall, Ant-Man beating Kang of any kind just doesn't really sit well with me. Now that I think back on it, a little over 3 years after the movie had originally came out, I would say this is one of the two worst films of the Phase 5. In that it underperformed kind of, and B, outside of underperforming, we had Kang versus Ant-Man and Ant-Man winning. Um, and yeah, it just wasn't as exciting as it could be. Um, and it very much had a good bit of hype because Kang was in it, and they definitely could have done more. Plus, MODOK in it, and we haven't seen Kang or we haven't seen MODOK since this movie. And the backlash for the fans when this movie came out was kind of bad. And so overall, this is probably the worst film of Phase 5. And so I liked it when it came out, but it's like just okay. But narratively, the villain losing here doesn't make that much sense. All right, so we now go into one of the greatest, and I mean greatest, shows in the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is just like how Phase 4 went from not good to top tier in some cases in general, with the movies at the very least, not the shows, not always the shows. But we have the conclusion of Loki. We have Loki season 2! It was amazing and top tier, going bang, 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 bang all 6 episodes in a row, and Loki realizing his full and true potential, and has us clamoring and waiting and wondering how this character will continue in the conclusion of the Multiverse Saga, in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and how this version of Loki will interact with his long lost brother in Thor, who thinks he is dead. All right, and then we have right after Loki season 2, we have the greatest and best season of What If. We have What If season 2. I'm not the biggest fan of season 1. I will recognize that it is pretty good. What If season 2 is the best for me because I just find it to be the most entertaining. We will cover What If season 3, so I'll save my thoughts for that much later. But I very much enjoyed What If season 2. I found the episodes to be the best and most creative overall, and they were just a fun and wonderful blast. I watched this in the lead up to watching What If season 3. Okay, so the next film of Phase 5 came out a few months after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in May of 2023. It was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the backstory of Rocket Raccoon and the High Evolutionary and all of the evil things that he did to revolutionize and evolve forcefully different populations and peoples as the Guardians go against the man who created Rocket Raccoon. This was a phenomenal and great movie. Unfortunately, this would be the last time James Gunn ever steps foot in doing anything in the MCU, as before this movie had come out, I believe he was already named as the head of DC months prior, or just a few months later, or something like that. So this was the final James Gunn movie. He only did the Guardians, and so all three were great. This was a wonderful end to the James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy of movies, where two was okay and like kind of bad, but like not worst or terrible, really. But Volume 3, High Evolutionary, Adam Warlock, Rocket Raccoon. Adam Warlock gets introduced, High Evolutionary and Rocket Raccoon are the main ones. We have also a different Gamora after the events of Endgame. We have Gamora from 2014, so she hadn't met Peter Quill at all. And so this movie was just great. It was fun. It was a wonderful blast, a wonderful and much darker take than the other Guardians films, while still being lighthearted and filled with jokes and laughs. I love this movie, and I still like this movie. I would say that this movie is probably the best of Phase 5. So we start with one of the worst, and then go with one of the best. That's so we know it's either going to be one of the best or the worst for the next film, right? Let's find out. All right. So first up, we have Secret Invasion, and if you've been following the MCU for any amount of time and you've watched Secret Invasion, you know as a fact that it was one of the shows and one of the most well built shows for the first 4 or 5 episodes, depending on your own definition. But once we get to the finale, it just doesn't hit like the rest of the show, and it leaves a sour taste in our mouths as the ending is just not it. It's just not what we were hoping for in the build-up. You can even argue that it's just the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then after that, it just goes on a freaking cliff of a downfall hit after that. It's just insane. It could have been one of the best TV shows of the Marvel Cinematic Universe history, let alone just the Multiverse Saga. But you have to execute all 3 parts, beginning, middle, and especially the end. Most often than not, people will remember the ending if it's sour enough more than the beginning or middle. And so much of the fan base, including myself, feel like it's just not that good of a movie because it didn't execute at the end. One of the best, one of the worst, to a good. So we have Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was one of the worst. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was pretty much the best. And now, to end the year of 2023 in Marvel movies in November of 2023, we have The Marvels, which basically serves as a sequel to both Captain Marvel, WandaVision, and a small bit, and Miss Marvel. And so Miss Marvel was a TV show in Phase 4 where Kamala Khan came. I believe it was Phase 4, right? Right? One sec. Yeah. It came out in Phase 4 and pretty much in like the prior year or so. And so Miss Marvel came out, and now Miss Marvel is in a Captain Marvel movie. We also have Monica Rambeau appearing as well after she got powers through WandaVision and the events in that show. So we have heavy incorporation of 2 shows into a single movie. So greatness. The movie overall majorly suffers from not having a good enough villain. I say that because the villain is basically, it's like Ronan the Accuser's daughter, so it's basically like female Ronan the Accuser. Like almost pick for pick and bone for bone. It's basically just female Ronan the Accuser, just very much more vanilla and bland. Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel were all fun. The musical part of it was so funny and great. It just lacked a good and great villain. And that's pretty much all it really kind of like lacked. I mean, Nick Fury was there, but really, like, but yeah, that was the Marvels. After about 8 months since the Marvels, we have the best or second best movie in Phase 5, and definitively one of the best movies of the MCU since Endgame. Pretty probably in some people's top 5 to top 10 of MCU films. What is it? It's Deadpool and Wolverine. Just a fun blast and fun interaction of Deadpool, Wolverine, plus multiverse shenanigans, and part of the multiverse is collapsing. The TVA want to hunt down Deadpool and basically like this variant of Wolverine. And so, this is just a fun and wonderful blast. The villain overall isn't the best. It's not the worst. It's not very bland. It's just not the best villain. It's a very good villain, just not a great one. Um, Looks just like Professor X, which I think that's kind of the goal. I think it's like a female Professor X twin from the womb that like died and had to or got TVA'd. Um, the pseudo villain was this guy from the TVA, and basically the TVA were like secondary villains the whole time. We also got Chris Evans returning as the Human Torch from his Fantastic Four days, which was kind of fun. Um, Wolverine finally wearing the proper Wolverine suit. Chef's kiss, perfect. Deadpool interacting with Wolverine was so fun. Even their first actual interaction where they fought for like a solid 20 minutes. The Backstreet Boys, Bye Bye Bye, and all that fun stuff. Deadpool using bones from other people to kill others was insanely funny. The whole movie was a fun blast. Deadpool plus Wolverine and a few others traveling the multiverse and trying to save part of the multiverse from collapse. Just a fun and wonderful blast. You sometimes keep it simple. Now we have the show that premiered pretty much around Halloween season of 2024. We have Agatha All Along, or AAA, as some people might refer to it. This was a 9 episode show that was good. I won't say great because people will say great because of the ending and it was amazing and this and that. I do still remember most of the show. The beginning was okay. The middle, or well, most, or like pretty much roughly half of the show, where it was the adventure and along the witch's road, it was a fun ride, but it wasn't the best and it wasn't the worst, but it was just okay. There were good episodes, there were okay episodes. It wasn't the best flowing show of the entire MCU, of the Multiverse Saga at the very least, but the ending was good. However, it's been well over a year, close to a year and a half since the ending, and we have no clue when either of the main characters, being Agatha or Wiccan, are ever going to appear again. So it's a wonderful sequel to WandaVision, a wonderful introduction for Wiccan. However, we have no clue when either character of the main cast of the two characters will ever appear again. And now for the film of Phase 5, where I can go on an entire rant of probably 20 plus minutes about why it wasn't as good as it could have been, and it very easily has shouldn't really have any problems with being this mid to bad. And I would say this is tied with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania as one of the two worst films of Phase 5. This is Captain America Brave New World. Why do I say it like that? Red Hulk. So Thunderbolt Ross is the villain. We also have a guy from the Incredible Hulk who is like the primary antagonist and wants to get out of this like hellhole in prison that Thunderbolt Ross has been secretly keeping him for over 20 years. And these like pills that are kind of helping Thunderbolt Ross, given by this guy, are kind of just slowly developing him into a Red Hulk. However, he doesn't Hulk out. Or well, when he transforms, a Hulk just takes over. The problems with this movie stem from part A being Sam Wilson, Captain America, through vibranium and reminder of you have a daughter, and sheer willpower, beat a Hulk. That's the issues. Should Sam Wilson have super soldier serum? Logically speaking, if he has super soldier serum, it would be a better reason for him to win this fight. If he doesn't have super soldier serum, should have been others to help him win this fight. I love the continuation that they have with Falcon, with Torres, I believe is his name, Joaquin Torres, yes. Um, Bucky, even though he was a major part of the Falcon Winter Soldier, hardly appears in this movie, even though he's supposedly a congressman. Don't know how that makes sense. Sharon Carter played a big role in Falcon Winter Soldier, but is not mentioned in this movie. You have Isaiah Bradley prominently featured in this movie. However, you don't have Isaiah Bradley's like grandson or nephew in this movie at all, who was also in the Falcon Winter Soldier. Agent Walker, kinda in this movie, but very, very like small, minuscule part. So most of the major players from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show don't make it into this movie, which doesn't make sense. And they don't give reasons as to why they're just not in this film. And very easily, you could have made this film much better and different if you weren't going to have Red Hulk actually be Hulk. You just teased it the whole movie, and then he just like weirdly transforms and doesn't, and like it's all about him wanting to rehabilitate and get away from this Red Hulk form and stuff. No, like that's not good, or like that's not making for a good, exciting movie. And Sam Wilson probably should have taken the Super Soldier Serum if you're going against a freaking Hulk of any kind. But no, he fought back because he has a vibranium suit, blah, blah, blah. No, I have issue upon issue upon issue of this film. And only like 2% of it is on Sam Wilson. A lot of this film is weird. I love that it was a Sam Wilson Captain America film. However, the writing just wasn't there. It just wasn't there for him. I hope they give him one more shot with the Captain America movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if after Secret Wars he's no longer Captain America to some degree. I'm sorry, but that's kind of just like how the movie went. We are now in our final three shows, and all three came out last year in the wonderful year of 2025. And so we're going to begin these final three, continuing in chronological order of release, being with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1. A very unique Spider-Man origin story, a very unique animation style, and also a wonderful way to have a Spider-Man plus other heroes in a Spider-Man project. We have Daredevil and the female white tiger that they're building in Born Again Season 2 right now. We have I forget what his name, Tombstone. We have Tombstone slowly being built up. We have Spider-Man finally being grounded and mostly in just New York City, fighting low-level street. And as he is beginning, he's working with Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, has one of the Runaways as his best friend. I am not the biggest fan of the animation style, but it is fine. It's okay. The show is good as a whole, and most certainly is for the broadest of audiences possible with the animation style and the difference that it has. It's a good show, not the greatest show. I do am very much anticipating season 2 when it comes out later this year. Now we have one of, if not the most hyped up Marvel Cinematic Universe Multiverse Saga show ever in all three of the three phases so far, as phase 6 is beginning and is currently going on right now. But this is probably the most anticipated and the most hyped. Did it live up to it? We're talking about Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Season 2 is currently out. Season 1 started off with a bang. Foggy dies. Daredevil versus Bullseye going head to head. Bout. All this good stuff. The hallway fight scene, the cinematography was great. And then Matt stops being Daredevil for over a year and doesn't suit up again until around episode 7. Why is this good or bad? Well, I can go on a rant of probably enough for a whole video, but I'll keep it short and sweet. We focus very heavy on courts, which is great, and Matt being an attorney. However, the slow burn and constant teasing of both Wilson Fisk going back towards Kingpin as he wanted to stay away from it, and Matt Murdock slowly going into Daredevil is very much like a soap opera, and a high school drama type of show, of a tease, of a show where you're finally gonna get Daredevil. You're finally gonna get him. You're finally gonna get him. And you finally get him all the way near the end of the season. It kind of feels a bit cliche. We also have the introduction of White Tiger, which kind of fills the gap of Daredevil in between. We have the debut, or at least the continuation, of the Punishers, a gang that worships the Punisher. Kind of funny. Frank Castle Punisher appears and kind of talks Matt Murdock back into Daredevil. And so this was a good and okay season. It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, probably not on the same tier as Daredevil, the Netflix show. Pretty much at the very minimum, just below, or right on par of the first season of the Netflix Daredevil show. Season 2 is much better. It's a wonderful blast, and I'll see you in the video where we'll be talking about that in the very, very near future. We have the end of Phase 5 in regards to the shows. We have Ironheart. I'll keep this short. I'll keep this sweet. I don't like this show at all. I don't like the fact that this is probably going to be one of the Disney Plus Marvel shows that is going to be getting a season 2. I don't like the fact that the main character was so willing and so easily ready to make a deal with the devil. I also don't like how she went from MIT, doesn't have money, doesn't go, I am smart, I am capable, I can make a product or a resource to where I can make money. No, she goes straight into crime in less than an episode. She also goes straight towards someone who she knows and has a bad feeling about, but she's too curious and wants to gain power quickly, so she goes to an obvious bad guy for help. I also feel like this show went a little too much into the diversity column. And it had a very good chance to be a good show. It may just be that I don't really like Ironheart as a character, if this is the same type of way Ironheart is portrayed in the comics. But also, you have pretty much more than 5 years worth of building up and teasing Mephisto, aka the devil of the Marvel Universe, and all it is to make a deal with a 22-year-old kid to bring her best friend back to life. I do not like this show. I've somehow gone on for about 2 minutes about this, but I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go on a long rant about this. I don't like it. Maybe season 2 will redeem the show for me, but that's how I feel. Alright, so those are the 8 different shows with the 9 total seasons, going from Secret Invasion all the way until Ironheart, with nearly an exact 2 year from start to finish in point. We have pretty much great shows, all-time shows. We have most of the shows are at least good. There's maybe only 1 or 2 bad shows in the entirety, which is what you can hope for when they're releasing this many shows really a 3-year span technically, but it's 2 years in total, since it goes from June of 23 to basically June/July of 25, so it's pretty much exactly a full 2 year span. And so we have 9 different seasons, 8 shows. You can only hope that they get this many at least good. You can't hope that it goes bang, 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 banger after banger after banger, like they did in Phase 3, which is most of the phase was banger after banger, or at least the second half. You can only hope that they hit this many good shows in a row, and that they only have 1 or 2 misses in general, which is only because of the bad execution of writing in general as well. I will see you all tonight, actually, in a video that I recorded last week, and I'll also see y'all again tomorrow as we go over every Star Wars movie ranked, as Star Wars May the 4th is coming up, so I'll be doing a few Star Wars projects. See you in the next one. Goodbye, and God bless. All right, so we're going on a good, nice streak. And now we enter the end of What If, the season 3 and finale of What If. I find season 3 to have a few good episodes. However, I do not see the need or the reasoning behind how the season 3 finale and like two-part finale and ending has nearly an all-female cast with all the different casts of characters that we've gone through. We just had all female cast and we kind of picked and chose what characters we wanted to use in the ending of this series. And so I do have a little bit of an issue with that because we used both men and women characters all throughout the show as both heroes and villains, but we use only women to end the show, which doesn't make too much sense to me. That's pretty much my only issue and the reason why I say What If Season 3 isn't as good as the first two seasons. Also, one or two of the episodes were just straight up weird and wonky, especially the Howard the Duck and what's her name and the scientist or whatever from Thor that was in WandaVision. I forget her name right now, but that's my thoughts on What If Season 3. It's not the worst project in the MCU of the multiverse saga of the shows, but it is most certainly not one of the best. So now, as we round out the 6 films of Phase 5, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We have the 6th and final film of Phase 5 happening in in May of last year of 2025. What movie was it? It was the dark and gut-wrenching and all about emotional and mental health, coming out in Mental Health Awareness Month, but it's all about mental health and possible suicidal tendencies. It is Thunderbolts, where every single one of these main characters has contemplated suicide at some point, and it is highlighted very heavily. And this just is a movie highlighting that there's light within the darkness. It's literally it's just the Sentry and the darkness within the Sentry. The void. The Sentry and the void. Madame, the Madame Allegra de Fontaine is in this and like head of the CIA, but not really in there, trying to shut all of her stuff down. Yelena Belova, um, Agent Walker, Ghost, Taskmaster, um, Yelena's father from Black Widow, the Sentry. I might be missing a name or so, but overall, this rounds out how Phase 5 was much better and much more improved than Phase 4, as you had not one, not two, but 3 out of 6 films to be great and wonderful rides. You have 2 of them being emotional roller coasters in Guardians 3 with Rocket and High Evolutionary, with this one just being Yelena going, I can die right now. US Agent going, I've had a rough life lately, mostly due to my own actions, and I need to be better. There's also, I was forgetting, Bucky Barnes is in this wonderful movie. And so this is just a wonderful movie, a wonderful ride, and a wonderful end to the MCU Phase 5 movies. And I loved it. I loved that we had at least half of the movies. We could get better than that, but we had at least half of the movies of a phase in greatness. So that is the full Phase 5 compilation video complete, about 35 or so minutes of just me yapping about Phase 5 Marvel shows and movies, about whether or not I like them, and both the goods and the bads of them all. So if you're still watching up to this point, I thank you all for watching in general. Please like the video if you've liked it. I mean, I hope you have liked the video if you've liked it. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will and comment some below about the Multiverse Saga in Phase 5 so far. I will see you all tomorrow with what I watched in April. Goodbye, and God bless you all.